some stories of survival are just almost too dramatic to be believed, and this is one of them. We're talking about a future king running for his life, a prince who risks everything for a friend, at a powerful song of faith that was born from a moment of pure, absolute terror. So let's put ourselves in David's shoes for a second. This is his terrifying new reality. He's a national hero, he's been anointed as the next king, but that's exactly the problem. The current king, Saul, is now hunting him with murderous intent. So what do? I mean, really, what can you do when your own king becomes your biggest threat? David's first hope for survival, well, it comes from the most unlikely place you could imagine, the king's own son. This is where we meet Jonathan, and their story, wow, it's one of the most powerful friendships in ancient literature. I mean, on paper, these two couldn't be more different, right? You've got Jonathan, the crown prince, the heir to everything, and then there's David, a shepherd boy who's suddenly a fugitive with nothing. But what brought them together, what really united them, was this deep, shared faith and just incredible courage. They saw something in each other that went way beyond rank and status. And this isn't just, a casual friendship. This quote right here says it all. Their bond was so strong that Jonathan makes what's called a covenant, a really solemn promise to protect David and his entire family down the line. Think about that. He's basically defying his own father and, in a way, giving up his own shot at the throne. Okay, so to figure out if Saul's rage is for real, Jonathan cooks up this super clever, high-stakes plan. He tells David to go hide. Then, when David is obviously missing from the king's big feast, Jonathan's going to test the waters, see how Saul reacts. The final verdict? It would be delivered in secret, using a signal with arrows, all to keep David safe and out of sight. And the truth? Well, it's horrifying. When Jonathan tries to make an excuse for David's absence, Saul just explodes. He's screaming that as long as David's alive, Jonathan's kingdom is basically worthless. And then he hurls a spear at his own son. I mean, can you imagine? At that point, there's no doubt left. None. David has to run for his life, and he has to run now. So after this incredibly tearful farewell, David is completely on his own. He's officially a fugitive. And the next few days are just a blur, a total whirlwind of close calls and desperate choices. He's got to rely on pure instinct just to stay alive. Just look at how fast this all goes down. There's no time to think, right? It's just react, react, react. 1 minute he's with his best friend, the next he's in a town of priests, and then, in this absolutely shocking move, he runs straight into the heart of enemy territory, the Philistine city of Gath. So he gets to the town of Nob, and he's starving, he's unarmed, and he has to make a really tough choice. He lies. He tells the priest, Ahimelech, that he's on a secret mission for King Saul, and the priest, who's just trying to do the right thing, gives him this holy, consecrated bread to eat, and, get this, the sword of Goliath, the very giant David himself had killed. Yeah, this lie keeps David alive, but it puts that innocent priest in some serious, terrible danger. All right, now we get to the most desperate moment of the whole story. David has fled to Gath. Just to remind you, that's the hometown of the very giant whose sword he is now carrying. It's an incredibly bold move, or maybe just a foolish one, and it backfires almost immediately. Of course, he's recognized instantly. The servants of King Achish of Gath are like, hey, isn't that David, the king of the land? Suddenly his fame is a massive liability. He is completely trapped in the lion's den, standing right in front of the king whose champion he famously killed. I mean, his life is hanging by a thread. So he's cornered. He's got zero options left. David falls back on this absolutely shocking survival tactic. He decides to act completely insane. The logic here is pretty clever, actually. A madman is seen as harmless, maybe cursed by the gods, but definitely not a political threat you need to execute. And he commits to this role. He doesn't just mumble or act weird, he gives the performance of a lifetime. We're talking drooling down his beard, scratching at the city gates like an animal, just acting like a man who has completely lost his mind. He has to make it 100% convincing, because if he messes this up, he's dead. And believe it or not, it works. King Achish is just disgusted. He chews out his servants like, do I not have enough madmen around here that you have to bring me this guy? He orders David to be thrown out. Now, whether Achish really bought the act or if he just saw a clever man he didn't want to mess with, we don't know for sure. But the bottom line is, David walks away, miraculously alive. But David doesn't just, breathe a sigh of relief and keep on running. This absolutely harrowing experience, this moment where he hit rock bottom, it actually inspires one of his most powerful and famous works. In the immediate aftermath of that terrifying escape, David writes Psalm 34. Think about that. This is a song written not from a place of peace and comfort, but from the raw, fresh memory of facing certain death and getting an impossible second chance. This verse right here, it's the heart of the whole psalm. It's a direct reflection of what just happened to him. Trapped in Gath, he was just consumed by fear. He cries out in desperation, and in the most bizarre way you could possibly imagine, through his own crazy act, he was delivered. His terror was literally transformed into testimony. So you can see this clear progression here, right? The journey starts with that paralyzing fear when he gets recognized. That fear forces him into an act of incredible cunning, and that cunning escape leads directly to this profound praise and a song of faith that people still sing today. So what's the big takeaway from this incredible story of survival? Well, it offers some really powerful lessons about friendship, about desperation, and about where we find our faith. First off, Jonathan shows us that true friendship sometimes means risking absolutely everything. Second, David's journey proves that survival can push us to think and act in ways we never, ever thought possible. And maybe most importantly, it shows us that our darkest, most frightening moments can become the very foundation for our deepest faith. And that rescue, well, it doesn't always look the way we expect it to. At the end of the day, David's ordeal is this powerful reminder that a great destiny doesn't mean you get an easy path. Nope. The journey is often filled with some really profound struggles. His survival was this complex mix of human help from his friend, his own cleverness, and this overarching faith that somehow he wasn't alone in all this. And that leaves us with one final question to chew on. In David's story, you've got cunning, you've got friendship, and you've got faith. They all played a huge role in his survival. But it makes you wonder, in our own moments of crisis, what's our ultimate shield?